Hello, I'm Mike Huckabee, and I want you to take a good look at this map. You see the dots popping up? Each of these dots represents a person. Police officers, entrepreneurs, doctors, teachers, farmers, people from all walks of life, from all corners of America. Yet they all have one thing in common. They are all rising up and taking control of their financial future. That's right. Despite the wild times that we're living in, these 100,000 Americans, yes, 100,000 of them, they're defying the odds. They're boldly taking control of their financial future, and they're doing it by using a simple service that they can access on their computer, phone, or tablet. And it's a service that gives them clarity, peace, and confidence with their own investments. Take John from Dallas, for example. He signed up about a year ago, and he says this: "Love the service. It allows me to sleep peacefully while my money grows." Dodie from Florida writes, "This is my first time investing on my own, and with this service, it's been easy, even fun." Royce in New York boasts, "No more watching the market all day, no more stress. I'm on the path to success now." And then Risa from California comments, "Been a member of this amazing service for a while now, and I've enjoyed every moment." And I love this one from Jeannie in Michigan. "I felt lost and in the dark, and honestly didn't have a clue where to start investing. This is the answer to my problems." It's no wonder why many are calling this service a miracle on Main Street. And it's all thanks to this man. A man crowned the top market timer 7 years in a row. That's after he correctly called the infamous 1987 Black Monday crash. A man ranked the #1 trader by Barron's as he helped his clients achieve annual gains as high as 100% during the 90s, and recommended companies such as Apple, Microsoft, and TJ Maxx over the last decade, giving people the chance to make gains of up to 1,000%. A man who has befriended and given advice to the likes of Sarah Palin, Dave Ramsey, Bill O'Reilly, and, well, me. His name is Charles Mizrahi. Today, you're going to see exactly how he's helping these 100,000 Americans and why they call this service unparalleled, refreshing, and wonderful. Well, you're going to have the chance to join them. And with that said, Charles, thanks for joining me today.
Governor, the pleasure is all mine.
You know, you and I have been working together for a few months in preparation for this event. You're already helping these 100,000 Americans go from confusion, fear, and frustration with their investments, all the way to clarity, peace, and success. Now, that's an amazing feat, and many people are calling this a miracle on Main Street. But now, as part of this event, you've got an even bolder mission. So why don't you talk about that?
Sure. Governor, it's been an honor to help these 100,000 Americans and to hear their stories and to see their successes. Why, it's truly humbling. But as great as that is, I knew with your help, we can do even better. I knew we could reach more people. So I'm going all in with a bigger mission. The 100,000 Americans I've helped so far, that's just a start. I want to help 1 million Americans reach their financial goals. That's 1 million. And it starts today with this event. With those who are watching right now, this is the start of something incredible.
Oh, that is 1 million. That is bold. However, after seeing how you've improved so many of these lives, quite frankly, Charles, I've got no doubt that together through this event and everything that we're going to show our viewers today, we're going to reach that goal. And I know those watching right now, they're going to love your service. I love it, and they're going to love it. And with that said, I'd be remiss if I didn't start today's conversation with our very first conversation that took place right in the middle of the 2020 pandemic. I want to play a short clip from that interview. And I want to encourage you to pay close attention because inside this clip, Charles reveals his secret to helping all these Americans reach their financial dreams. So see if you can spot it. Do people need to invest right now? This is a crazy economic time. Is this a good time to invest or a bad time to invest?
It's always a great time. The stock market is the greatest wealth creator. Think about this. You could be partners. That's really what a stock is. A stock is a piece of a business. You can be partners with any company you want, because when you own a share, you're owning a piece of that business.
Yeah.
So you have your choice. And what do you need to do to buy one share of Walmart back 40 years ago or one share of Amazon?
Yeah, that would be nice. I wouldn't have to ever work again if I just owned a little bit of what they were worth back then. Charles, can you expand on this some? I mean, what is the secret?
You see, Governor, most people today treat the stock market like a lottery ticket. They blindly invest in stocks, tech stocks, penny stocks, IPOs, and the like, hoping to strike it rich quick.
I know there's a lot of that going on.
Sure is.
I see people, Charles, who are glued to their phones. They're checking the stock market every day, every hour. They're watching the news. They're buying and selling. I mean, that can't be healthy.
It's not. They're gambling. They're taking huge risks with their hard-earned money in order to make a killing. And even if they're making money, their winning streak will come to an end because you could only go so far counting on luck. The stock market, Governor, isn't a casino, but people are treating it that way. People used to hold stocks on average for 8 years. Can you take a guess what it is today?
I mean, I'm thinking maybe under a year.
4 months, just 4 months. And here's why that's a problem. The secret to making money in the stock market, a lot of money, is to see every investment you make as a partnership.
Charles, explain what you mean by partnership.
Sure. To do that, let's go back to the origins of the stock market. An agreement was signed over about 200 years or so ago under a buttonwood tree, right where the New York Stock Exchange is today. This agreement paved the way for companies to raise money by selling shares to the public. It gave you and me and everyone watching a chance to become a partner in a publicly traded company, any publicly traded company we wanted.
Because when you buy a stock, what you're really doing is buying a piece of that business. And as that business grows, your share of it increases in its value.
Exactly, Governor. In that clip you just played, we talked about investing in Walmart and Amazon. Well, you would have been partners with Sam Walton for 40 years and Jeff Bezos for 20 years. As those businesses grew, so would your investment. A $1,000 stake in either company, get this, would now be worth over $2 million.
Whoa, that is incredible. $1,000 turns into $2 million. So it doesn't take a ton of money to make a ton of money if we partner with these companies for the long run.
Right.
But Charles, I got to state the obvious here. Most of us, we don't know which companies to invest in. I mean, back then, I would have just as likely invested in Sears as I would have in Walmart, and that company dwindled down to nothing.
Yeah, I hear you, Governor, which is why I created this service. You know, through this service, I can show everyday Americans which companies to avoid and, more importantly, which ones to invest in.
Maybe like the next Amazon or the next Walmart.
Well, that's the goal.
Well, you know, I know that you're going to reveal your top 3 stock picks in a moment, the ticker symbols and all of it. These companies are leading industries that are expected to rise 500% or more over the next decade. And the stocks, well, they could do even better. But first, Charles, talk more about why you created the service. I mean, you were named #1 in the country. That's a pretty big deal. So why would a legend on Wall Street create this service for those folks on Main Street?
Sure. Well, I really loved working on Wall Street. I became a floor trader when I was just 20 years old, and over the years, I was fortunate to do well for both my clients and myself.
Okay, I think you're being a little humble here, Charles. I mean, you were ranked the very best by Barron's. Top market timer 7 years in a row. You even made annual gains as high as 100% of the 90s.
Yeah, Governor, but during the late 90s, something was off. People stopped investing and they started gambling. We all remember those stories, you know, of people who are making fast fortunes in the stock market, but they had no idea what they were doing.
I mean, those were undoubtedly insane times.
Sure was. My mother-in-law is a great example. She and a group of her friends, they started an investment club. They were speculating in all these .coms. They even asked me to speak to the group, and I told them the right way to invest. So after an hour, I thought I got through to them. But as I walked out, I heard one of them say, "Okay, how much can we buy this .com company?" I sighed and realized I didn't make a dent in their thinking. Each week, she would gloat about how well the club was doing. And you know, They were doing great.
And then came the crash.
Yeah, and then came the crash.
Well, you warned them, Charles. You warned everyone. In 1999, this is what you wrote. You said, quote, "The internet stock craze will probably go down in market history as a textbook example of a mania, and that the market will eventually fall and fall hard." You were correct. The entire stock market dropped 50%. So I'm guessing that even your mother-in-law started following you after that.
Well, she did. She did, and along with her friends and other family members. And then word got out, and more people started following me. As that group expanded, I created an online service where I could share my insights and top stock picks. All they had to do was just log in, get the details, and make the trade on their own. And when it was time to sell, I'd let them know through an email. More and more people started using the service.
I mean, you were recommending stocks like Apple, Microsoft, TJ Maxx, several others that climbed higher over the last decade, sometimes as much as 1,000%.
Yeah, I did. So this service became a way for me to show people on Main Street that you don't have to gamble to make money. Instead, I wanted to show them how to invest like the pros on Wall Street. Not the talking heads on TV, but rather the real pros, the people who find the leading companies to partner with. And the best part is, those who follow my insights, they weren't stressing out or worrying. They were able to sleep better at night. That's why I do what I do. That's what inspired the service I'm sharing with you today.
And you know what? That's exactly the reason that I'm here right now, helping you to lead this event. The mission isn't about you. It's about helping the American people. Mm-hmm. And this service, which our viewers can get right there on their computer, phone, or tablet, you upgraded it 3 years ago to reach people outside of your community. And now 100,000 are signed up and getting your insights. And according to their own words, they're defying the odds. And many of them, they're calling this a miracle on Main Street.
Yeah, Governor, it's amazing, really. I never thought I'd be able to transform so many lives. But doors keep opening up, and that's no coincidence. God has a plan, and I believe that's why you and I are sitting here today.
Well, I couldn't agree more. Now, in a moment, we're going to talk about this service as well as your top 3 stock picks. But first, Charles, 100,000 people, that's a big number. I mean, every dot on this map represents a person. So it's easy to gloss over the impact that you're making. But these are real people from all over America, and they now have the chance to make lots of real money. So I want to highlight a few examples that I came across so that our viewers know that anyone can take advantage of your service, no matter where they're from, how much money they have, or how old they are.
That sounds great.
Okay. This first example, this is coming from Stuart. Now, Stuart actually studied at Columbia University, which has one of the top investing programs in the country. Yet he's turned to you for guidance. And here's what he wrote. "I've relied on you for 90% of my investments over the last decade. You've made me a lot of money. I'm living the American dream due in large part to you. Thanks so much for all you do. I've come to trust you enormously. God bless." Charles, this is great. I mean, he's relied on you and your various services for the last decade, and he's now living the American dream because of you.
Governor, that's why I tap dance to work every morning. It's because I'm able to help people like Stuart.
Well, I want us to meet another person. This is Roy from Tennessee, and here's what he says. He says, "My wife and I lost $30,000 investing on our own, and it was money we couldn't afford to lose. But then they found you, Charles, and after 4 months with you, just 4 months, here's what Roy said. He said, 'We finally have peace with our investing. I wish I knew about you 15 years ago. We would have been millionaires. Thank you for loving the small investors.'"
That's why I created this service. It makes investing simple, enjoyable, and profitable. It gives me so much joy to see how it's working for so many people.
That really is awesome, Charles, and I just have to read one more.
Yeah, go right ahead.
All right, this comes from John in Colorado. Mm-hmm. Now, he's a retired police officer. I think his story is pretty amazing. In 2008, he and his wife lost everything they had in the stock market. He said, quote, "Our nest egg, our $100,000 was gone. So, as you can imagine, he was pretty hesitant to invest in the stock market again. But then he found you, Charles, and you restored his faith. He has been following your investment recommendations for about a year, and he loves it. Here's what he wrote. He says, "What you do for us is immeasurable. Thank you very much for being a selfless and noble, mission-minded person. You are helping Americans from all walks of life secure a safer financial future."
You know, hearing these stories like John's, inspires me to work hard each and every day. It just goes to prove that when people invest in the right companies, they can make a lot of money, but it does so much more.
Well, it gives them peace of mind. And you know what else it does? It gives them freedom. Now, I'm going to show one more example from a person I think everyone will recognize. You're going to love this. Take a look at this clip.
So here we are. Sarah, you'd had the chance to use Charles's recommendations, and the results are in, right?
I love it. I love it. It's exactly what I needed. And it took only about 15 minutes to get everything set up. What used to take me years to make, John, I can make now in weeks.
So let me guess, you think that those watching right now could actually benefit from Charles's insight?
Absolutely, I do. And you know, too, I enjoy investing now. It's not a task, it's not stressful. Making money is fun. The gains rolling into my brokerage account, they're bigger than I could have anticipated.
That is awesome.
You know, Charles, what used to take Sarah Palin years to make, she's now making in weeks. I mean, that's really something.
Yeah, it sure is. And I'm really happy for her. She was really frustrated with her investment. So I told her, just like I told you, I'll pay you to try out my service. All I asked is that she share the results, and they were great. And as great as that is, as great as it is helping Sarah and these 100,000 people, we need to help 1 million Americans. That's why we're here today, to help those who are watching right now achieve the same level of success.
I can't agree more. And frankly, I'm glad to be part of this mission. But before we get too far ahead, I want to address something that I'm sure is on everybody's minds. A lot of people, Charles, are anxious about their financial future. I mean, they put their hard-earned money in their 401k, their IRA, and other retirement accounts. But with the stock market bouncing up and down, quite frankly, they're just nervous. On one hand, you got some experts saying the sky-high prices make sense. Then on the other hand, experts are saying, I think we're going to see the worst crash in our lifetime. Charles, Americans want to know. Our viewers want to know. Who's right?
Well, Governor, I will say this. I wouldn't ever bet against America. There will be some ups and downs, but we'll continue to prosper. It's in our very DNA. However, here's the thing. When you invest in the right stocks, the short-term market fluctuations, they don't really matter. Think about Walmart and Amazon. How many downturns did they survive over the last 3 decades?
The last 3 decades. That'd be the dot-com bust, the financial crisis, and even recently, the COVID bear market.
Exactly. And these companies not only survived those downturns, they became stronger because of them. They adapted to the new environment. They innovated their process. They upgraded their products. And they grew no matter if a Democrat or Republican was sitting in the Oval Office, no matter if we were at war or peace, no matter if inflation was high or low.
You know, that's beginning to make some sense. So what you're saying, the right companies will continue to prosper no matter the economic or political environment. I mean, Charles, you've even told me, and some people might take some offense to this, it is our patriotic duty to invest our money in these innovative companies.
Governor, I wholeheartedly believe that.
Okay, you're going to have to explain what you mean by that.
Sure. I'm going to use an example of Cornelius Vanderbilt. Now, of course, a lot of people know that Vanderbilt gained his wealth through the expansion of railroads about 150 or so years ago.
It may seem a little hard to fathom today, but at the time, a railroad connecting the east and west coast of America was so radical, it changed not just how we travel, but where we lived, how we shopped, how capitalism thrived. Well, it's even why we have time zones today.
Exactly. So Vanderbilt, he made a fortune. Now the family, they could have just sat on their money, but they didn't. What most people don't know is that the Vanderbilt family continued to invest in other innovations. For example, in 1886, They were the early backers of Thomas Edison's company, which eventually became General Electric. With the Vanderbilt funding, Edison was able to experiment with electricity.
I've heard this quote from Edison. He said he never failed. He just found 10,000 ways not to make a light bulb. I mean, that took a lot of funding. But eventually, he got it right, and it changed the world.
Exactly. My point is this. Every big innovation needs bold investors, and those investors are rewarded. So in this case, every $1,000 invested in GE back then is now worth about $2 million or so. And just as impressive, during the last 100 years, over 1 million people have been employed by GE. And of course, we've enjoyed having electricity.
Yeah, talk about a win-win-win. I mean, the company gets the money that it needs to grow, investors get rewarded, and the American people benefit from it all.
Correct. And you don't need to be a Vanderbilt to do this. Thanks to the Buttonwood Agreement, everyday Americans can invest in these innovative companies through the modern-day stock market. And it's our patriotic duty to do so. These companies can use our capital to grow, provide services or products, and create numerous jobs.
Now I can begin to understand when you say it's our patriotic duty to invest in them.
Right. Every innovation needs investors, from Johnson & Johnson's first Band-Aid to Tesla's first electric car to Intel's computer chips to Apple's iPhone. They all need money to innovate. And investors are rewarded handsomely for it. For every $1,000 invested in these companies, they'd be worth a small fortune. Johnson & Johnson would be worth over $10 million in 8 decades. Tesla would be worth $185,000 in just over a decade. Intel would be worth over $3 million in 50 years. Apple would be worth more than $1 million in 40 years.
Now, Charles, these are some of the greatest examples in stock market history. Getting in early on stocks like these, I mean, that'd be one of a lifetime feat. It just doesn't come easy. But when you find one of these companies, a person doesn't have to trade these stocks, buying them and selling them every week. What you're saying is a person needs to invest once and let the companies do the rest.
You got it right, Governor. By owning the right stocks, the right companies, they'll march through bull and bear markets, high and low inflation, high and low interest rates. It really doesn't make a difference.
Well, I can see a little more why you say it's our patriotic duty to invest in them. And, there's also a biblical case. In the book of Matthew, Jesus talks about the parable of the talents. The master gives talents, which is another word for money, according to the ability of each man. Then after a long time, when the master returns, the man who got 5 talents created 5 more through his investments. The one who got 2 created 2 more. And the one who got 1, he was afraid and he just buried his. But the master scorned him and said, "You wicked and lazy servant." And the lesson being that we've been given certain gifts, spiritual gifts, and even financial gifts, and we shouldn't bury them.
Governor, what I find very insightful was that they doubled it after a long time. They didn't go off and gamble their money or try to grow their money tenfold overnight. And that's what investing in the right companies can do for you. It can build generational wealth.
Charles, you say it's always a good time to invest, but you did tell me before the show that right now, this very year, is an amazing time to invest. And it's one of the reasons that we're holding this event today. I want you to talk about that a little more.
Oh, I'd love to. You see, Governor, it's always a great time to invest. But from time to time, as once every 50 years or so, it's a wonderful time to invest. And we're in the middle of one of those times. That's because we're in a convergence. Now, a convergence is when a whole bunch of innovations come together at the same time. When that happens, it turbocharges growth. Right now we have artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, 5G, blockchain, battery power, robotics, and so much more, all taking place at once. Now, when these technologies all converge together, new technologies are born.
So in theory, that sounds good, but I want you to give me an example of what you mean by that.
Sure. Let me take out my phone for a second. Take this iPhone, for example, right? It's a technology that was made possible by the convergence of AI, 5G, microchips, and the Internet of Things. These other technologies, they converge to make the smartphone possible. And because this smartphone exists, other companies like Uber, Amazon, and Facebook are thriving.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like perpetual growth.
Exactly. We're currently living through a period of time where technologies are converging to make other technologies at a very, very rapid pace. It's kind of like a snowball being rolled down a very long and steep hill. As it rolls forward, it picks up momentum and starts to grow really, really big fast. Think about autonomous vehicles, right? They need all kinds of technologies in order to make possible, such as batteries, sensors, big data, and IoT. And think about precision farming. Farms today use big data to measure soil samples, and they use advanced technology to apply the right amount of fertilizer when needed, increasing yield. It's just amazing.
You know, I mean, that makes perfect sense, Charles. And when people invest in these innovations, that's when the technology can be propelled forward. Now, in a moment, Charles is going to show you how to use a scorecard to pick the right companies to partner with. And then he's even going to give you his top 3 picks to buy. Each company is positioned as the leader of an innovation that's on the verge of rising 500% or more over the next decade. But most importantly, we're going to show you how you can join the 100,000 Americans who are already using Charles's service to get his top stock picks, plus a whole lot more. So I want once again to call attention to these folks. I mean, these are hard-working men and women, and they're already getting Charles' top stock picks right through this service. But this time, I want you to hear it in their own words.
I was using the market to gamble. Sometimes I did wonderful. Most of the time I was lucky just not to lose money. In November of 2020, I was down 20% for the year. So I started to follow Charles. I made it all back in 1 month. 1 month. No more watching the markets all day. No more stress. Thank you, Charles, for setting me on the path to success.
I bought Marvel 2 years ago when Charles recommended it, and I am up 95%. I appreciate Charles's recommendations, but what I really like is his why behind the recommendations. I look forward to Charles's work because his process makes sense and everything is laid out logically. I really like buying companies that I can understand and believe in, not just, the tip of the day. Charles, keep up the great work.
I saw Charles speak in person 2 years ago. I thought he'd be too conservative to be of any interest to me. I thought, boring. Man, was I wrong. His presentation actually convinced me I was missing something. I love Charles' recommendations and own all of them. Moreover, I'm going to invest another $100,000 in them. There'll be a great opportunity to shake his hand if we ever shake hands again. Thanks, Charles.
I mean, Charles, these are great. I mean, it definitely does feel like a miracle on Main Street, as we've been saying.
Governor, I used to help rich people get richer when I was on Wall Street. But helping folks on Main Street like this, it's way more rewarding. Some people like Patrick have $200,000 or so allocated to my picks. Others start with just a few $1,000s.
Well, I can't wait to show our viewers just how this service works. That way, they can start having success as well. And again, they can use it on their phone, on their tablet, or their computer. It's super simple to use, and they're going to love it. I love it. But before we dive into the details, I know there are a lot of people out there, they're skeptical, and for good reason. A new study shows 90% of professionals can't beat the market. So 9 out of 10 are failing. They've got one job, beat the market, and they can't do it. Your model portfolio, however, is beating the market. I mean, we all want to know, how are you doing that?
Well, Governor, there are a lot of reasons, but one key factor is this. I don't have to dilute my investments. You see, most of these professionals, they're required to have 100 stocks or more in their funds. Why would anyone want to own 100 stocks? I don't want to invest in their 99th best recommendation. I want their top 20. So here's the thing. A lot of these companies are just dead weight. Let me show you what I mean. Over the last decade, the entire S&P 500, essentially the stock market, has gone up 200%.
I mean, that's pretty amazing if you ask me.
Oh, it sure is. But guess how high the top 20 stocks went?
Well, I know you're going to make a point, so I'm going to go high. I'll say 1,000%.
Keep going.
1,500%?
Keep going.
2,000%?
The top 20 stocks went up 2,300%.
Whoa. Now that is a lot. So to your point, why own 500 stocks or even 200, or for that matter, 100? All a person really needs to do is invest a little bit of money in a few innovative companies and then watch their account grow.
Exactly. In this case, a $1,000 investment in the stock market would have turned into $3,000. That's not bad. But that same $1,000 invested in the top 20 stocks, that would have turned into $24,000.
Now that is a big difference.
Sure is.
However, again, I don't have the ability to know which stocks to invest in. I missed out on a lot of big winners like Walmart or Amazon decades ago because I didn't know how to pick them. Just like I couldn't have picked out those top 20 stocks. So I don't think I'm alone. I'm probably like most people because most of us just don't have the ability or the time to figure out which stocks are going to be winners and which ones are going to be losers. Now, Charles, you've got a 40-year track record of picking the winners.
Well, I don't always get it right. I don't have a crystal ball, but yeah, I do stack the odds in our favor because I know what to look for.
But I want to dig a little deeper. I mean, I'm still wondering, and I'm pretty sure our viewers must be too, how were you able to spot the stocks that go up and go up so much over a long time? How are you able to find these innovative companies that make investors so much money and that also benefit so very many Americans?
Governor, I use the Alpha scorecard. Let me share with you what that means. A company must have alpha innovation, alpha leadership, alpha money. A company must get an A rating on all three of these alphas: innovation, leadership, and money.
Okay, Charles. Now, look, I realize we don't have to understand the just minute details of your alpha scorecard. And that's what so many folks, well, frankly, that's why they rely on you. But you've got to give me some more details here. Break it down for us a little more.
Okay, no problem. For alpha innovation, I'm looking for companies that have an edge in a major multi-billion-dollar industry. They're going to disrupt the competition and move America forward. Take Charles Schwab, for example.
I believe this was one of the recommendations that you gave back in 2019. And those who followed that insight, they're up more than 50%.
Schwab is just getting started. Here's why. Schwab is innovating the entire $500 billion financial technology industry, an industry that, according to my research, could grow 800% over the next decade.
So the industry is $500 billion now, and it's expected to grow 800% over the next decade? So just doing the math on that, I mean, we're talking $4 trillion.
Exactly. And thanks to Schwab's easy-to-use app, the stock is marching higher and higher. So Schwab gets an A+ on innovation.
But why Charles Schwab? Why not another company like Fidelity or E-Trade? I mean, they've got apps just like Schwab.
That's a great question. It then comes down to alpha leadership. You see, we want a business partner with a successful track record. Schwab's CEO, Walter Bettinger, has been with the company since 1995 and helped the company grow fivefold since he took the helm in 2008. Fortune even named him top business person of the year. Because you see, Governor, every great leader has dedication, focus, and vision. Behind every great company is a great leader.
Sort of like Sam Walton with Walmart, Jeff Bezos with Amazon. I mean, that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Schwab has alpha innovation and alpha leadership. What about the third item on your scorecard?
The third item, alpha money. As you said, we want to look at the financials. This is where most people, they just get it wrong. They look for cheap stock prices. They see a stock under $10 and they think, oh, it's cheap. Well, it might just be priced at $10 for a reason.
You know, that's a lot to look at, like revenue, earnings, so forth.
Right. So to get to the underlying worth of the business, I look at the data behind the stock price, the balance sheet, the income and cash flow statement, and so much more. Because at the end of the day, I'm constantly digging through the numbers to make sure it all adds up. I'm simply trying to make sure we're buying a great company at an attractive price. That's it in a nutshell.
So let's see, Schwab, they got an A+ in every category. innovation, leadership, and money. And you told people to buy it and pay up to $40 a share. Today, it's more than 50% higher.
Yeah, I expect we'll hold this position because Schwab's business continues to grow stronger. And as long as the business continues to increase in value, so does the stock price.
So Charles, I've been looking over your model portfolio. And frankly, I'm going to have our video team share it with our viewers right here. Now, for privacy reasons, I've blurred out the names, but this is the exact portfolio that they get access to in just a few minutes. And they're going to be able to buy these exact stocks. So as we scroll through these open positions, one thing is clear. There are a lot of winners.
Governor, thanks for sharing that. Now, with that said, these don't include the 4 positions I've sold. You see, if I see a position moving against us, I try to sell out of it before it turns into a loss.
I mean, there's always a chance these stocks could go down. We know that all investing carries some form of risk, which is why a person shouldn't invest more than they can stand to lose. So it makes sense to let go of a bad position so you can focus on the winners. But Charles, even those bad positions averaged a 3% gain over the last 2 years.
Well, I like to get rid of the companies that underperform and focus on those that outperform. These open positions are just starting to go up. Over the next few years, I expect these stocks will go much higher.
And Charles, I know everybody watching, they're going to have a chance to access all these stock picks in just a few minutes. But we've been telling our viewers that you'll give away 3 of your top stock positions. I think maybe now would be a good time to do just that.
All right, I agree. Let's do it. The first one is Arista Networks. It's up around 100% in just over a year. Arista is disrupting the cloud computing industry, an industry that could grow 500% over the next decade, according to my research.
So to be clear, the industry is expected to grow 500%, not necessarily the stock.
Correct. So as you can imagine, if the industry is growing 500%, well, Arista has room to march just as high, if not higher.
I mean, that's a great example of a company that's got a high stock price, but you must think that it's still a great bargain.
Exactly. A $200 stock price might sound like a lot, but Amazon probably sounded high at the price too back in 2012, and it went on to soar 1,000% from there.
That's a good point. So Arista, that's your first recommendation. Let's take a look at your next top stock pick.
Everyone will recognize this next company, the Walt Disney Company. It's up about 40% in 6 months already. And now, as you likely know, it's disrupting the video streaming industry. And my research is showing that video streaming could grow 500% in the next decade.
I mean, is that even counting the revenue from theme parks, everything?
Not at all. So there's a lot to be excited about with Disney.
Okay, so we've got Arista disrupting the cloud, Disney disrupting streaming. Let's take a look at the third stock pick.
Okay, it's called Lumentum. It's up 60% in 2 years, and it's disrupting the AI industry. That's an industry that could grow 3,000% over the next decade, according to my research. So there's a lot of room to run there.
All right, Charles. I mean, these certainly to me look like 3 great stocks. But is one of these a favorite?
Well, this one right here. It's up 130% in 2 years. But the company, it's disrupting the 5G industry. That's an industry that I expect will grow 3,800% this decade. As you can imagine, it has room to move much higher.
Well, now, I'm sure there are a lot of people that say, oh, they've already missed it if it's up 130%.
Yeah, they might, but people thought they'd missed the train when I recommended Microsoft in 2011. It had already gone up a ton, but it kept going up, and those who followed my recommendations are up 1,000% today. Just think, if the 5G industry is going up 3,800%, this company could really take off. And I'm not the only one saying this. The experts, they're loading up on it. William Blair gave it an outperform. Piper Sanders upped the price target and gave it an overweight rating. Others went on record saying it's a compelling buy. Now, in order to get in before the price shoots higher, people will want to invest pretty soon.
Well, it kind of sounds like a really great opportunity. So all of this makes sense. I mean, if the industry is expected to grow 5-fold, in some cases 30-fold, the company that's leading the way certainly ought to do fantastic as well.
Governor, you hit the nail on the head. You see, once you find an innovative company with great leaders and great financials leading a growing industry, well, the results are basically inevitable. They might not come next month or a year from now, but in time, the company should become a big winner for America and for the people who invest in America's future by investing in its best companies.
Charles, well, so far, the portfolio, I mean, it looks amazing. And let's face it, you're helping Main Street Americans do what 9 out of 10 professionals on Wall Street can't even do, and that's beat the market. It is, as they say, a miracle on Main Street. So congratulations.
Thank you. But the real congratulations, Governor, go to the 100,000 people who took a bold step forward and decided to join me. It's been a crazy market these last few years through the pandemic and the recovery, but they hung in there and they've been rewarded for it.
You know, all these people from all over America, they're using your insight right now to invest in their futures. I want to quickly read off some more examples because it's important for you to know that these folks once stood in your shoes, but they took a step forward and they tried this service out. This is from Tim. He's from Ohio, and he writes this. He said, "I've paid high fees for financial services and advisors. So I must say, I was skeptical about Charles at first. It's been 3 months, and I've made some very good profits. Glad I found him." This from Kathy in New York. She says this, "In 1 year, my gains across my accounts are sitting at 90%, and that's in part due to you. The fact that I have a couple of 100,000 now and it's growing so steadily is amazing to me. Thank you so much for enabling me to feel more confident about my future and start feeling more comfortable about treating myself to some nice things along the way." Michael in Oregon writes this, says, "All of your recommendations I follow are up. I'm up 22% in 6 months, 42% on Disney in 5 months, and even 94% over the last year. I'm very happy, thank you." So, you know, Charles, I could go on and on. This is what you're getting from the people who have followed your plan.
Well, Governor, that's what this is all about, really. Helping these folks make a lot of money and having peace of mind doing it. Now I have a new mission, to go from helping 100,000 people to 1 million.
I agree. So I'm guessing that our viewers are itching to know, what is this service and how does the service work? So let's talk about that.
Sure. So it's my elite research service called Alpha Investor, of course, named after my 3 alphas. But it does exactly that. It enables anyone to become an alpha investor, a great investor.
Well, I've had the chance to study it and use it for a few months now. I love it. So I'm going to use my iPad here to show the actual service.
That sounds great.
All right, I'm going to log in here. Now, a lot of stuff is going to be blurred out for privacy reasons. On the top is a link to the model portfolio. Just click it, and it opens up that same portfolio that we just had up on the screen. And you can see everything Charles recommends. You have the name of the stock, the symbol, the open date, current price, the last price, total gain, and the buy up to price. Now again, this portfolio is beating the market, something that 9 out of 10 financial experts can't even do. Now, if you want more information on the stock, you just click here. That opens up an 8-page report, and it has all the details. So this 8-page report is easily one of my favorite parts, Charles.
You're not alone. You see, Governor, I want to make sure our readers are well informed, so I release one of these reports every month. That way you have all the information you need to decide if you want to invest.
What I like about this, though, is that when you write, you do it in a very conversational way. I mean, it's not all cluttered up with a bunch of heavy financial jargon that none of us understand. I mean, it's just straightforward. It's a simple and an easy read.
Well, Governor, I'm going to let you in a little secret. When I write these, I imagine myself having the conversation over a cup of coffee with my mother-in-law. I make it enjoyable and easy for anyone to grasp. So yeah, it's very conversational.
Well, I got to tell you, Charles, it's working. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the iPad. And so I'm going to click on a trade alert. And I want you to tell us about these.
Sure. Anytime I recommend you buy or sell a stock, you get an email. That way you never miss a thing. You can even get a text alert to notify you when one of these trade alerts are sent out.
I mean, a good example of this. February 23rd, 2021, you told subscribers to sell out of Wyndham Hotels for a 23% gain.
Exactly. We held it for 2 years, which is okay, but I saw a better opportunity, so I told subscribers to cash out now and move on.
All right, I got that. Now, you've also got weekly updates. These are like 15-minute webinars, and you record them every Wednesday. And in these, you record and review the portfolio, you answer common questions that have come in, then you explain what's going on in the overall market. For example, in 2020, right in the middle of the crash, when everybody was panicking, in your webinar, you told people not to worry.
Yeah, everyone was writing in, should I sell? Should I sell? What should I do?
Well, here are your exact words.
In the past couple of weeks, we've had some of those days where the market moved over 1,000 points, both up and down. We had one day where it fell close to 7% over 2,000 points. We've had interest rates plunge, oil market got decimated, and it looks like the end is near. I want to just tell you to take a step back, and I want to give you a perspective of how to look at the market and more specifically, how to deal with panic on Wall Street.
So Charles, you went on to give 4 specific ways that people can deal with volatility. You were calm in the middle of the storm.
I was. You see, a lot of people were worried, and rightfully so. But I've been doing this close to 40 years, and I've seen this movie before. I knew our investments would do just fine. There's not much that surprises me.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. Your subscribers were pretty thankful for your wisdom and insight. In fact, one of them wrote this: your message came at exactly the precise moment I needed reassurance just to stay calm and not panic. You were a beacon on a hill, cool, calm, and collected, even during the adverse times.
Well, I found that the biggest mistake people make when it comes to investing is they become too emotional. Now, we know not to panic and sell, but our emotions, well, they get the best of us, whether it be fear or greed.
And that makes a whole lot of sense to those of us who don't do this all the time. But I just want to quickly show a few more features of your service. You've got a Getting Started section, right?
Yes. This is for anyone new to investing. They'll get the beginner's guide. It's a simple booklet that talks about the basics of investing, how to set up a brokerage account, and how to place a trade, things like that. There's the Alpha Investor Manual explaining my 3 alphas in more detail. All this material is there if you need it.
Okay, I got that. And then you've got the special reports section. I mean, these are special recommendations where you take a much deeper dive into some specific investment opportunities. And then lastly, the frequently asked questions section, then the testimonials, which are success stories from those who have used Alpha Investor for a while. It's really as simple as that. And with that said, any time that a person's got a question about their subscription, you've got a whole team of VIP customer care representatives, and they're right here in the US of A who can help them out.
That's right. You're never left alone or in the dark. Just give my team in Maryland a call, and they will walk you through whatever you need.
This is incredible. Now, again, the name of the research service is Alpha Investor. And in a few minutes, a button is going to appear beneath this video, and you'll be able to click on it to find just exactly how to get access. But we've got a lot of questions coming in, and I'd like to address them first.
Sure, let's go for it.
All right, here's the first one. It comes from Mary in New Jersey. She says, recently the government dumped $6 trillion into our economy just to keep it afloat. That's 6 times as much as Obama's bailouts from a decade ago. How is this sustainable? Won't the stock market and our economy eventually crash?
That's a great question. Mary's right. These bailouts, they're just not sustainable. Our national debt is off the charts, and I think it's creating a culture of dependency. I don't like it. But with that said, the government did just drop $6 trillion into the U.S. economy. That's $6 trillion sloshing around the economy. That's going to fuel the stock market higher. And remember, The companies I'm recommending are the type of companies that are in a position to survive and, more importantly, thrive in the long run. Think about Coca-Cola, right? It survived inflation and deflation, times of war, times of peace, and stock market booms and busts.
So when society became more health conscious, Coke even figured out how to get into health drinks. I mean, I think you'd call that innovation.
That's right. They're not sitting still, which is why an original investment in Coke back in 1919 with dividends reinvested would turn every $1,000, get this, into more than $200 million.
Whoa. I mean, that amount of wealth, that's unfathomable.
You see, the companies I recommend are the same way. They're at the forefront of industries that are expected to grow 500%, even 3,000% over the next decade. So our investments, they should do fine in the long run.
Well, that's great to hear. All right, our next question, it comes from Frank. He's in Nebraska. He says, I love the sound of this, but all my money is in a 401k. So can I still follow your stock recommendations?
You see, most 401ks allow people to invest in stocks now, so it's possible. But if you can, try to open up another account with a company like Schwab, for example, and start investing. It's pretty simple to do that. I want to say it's well worth it because most 401ks give you exposure to the overall stock market. And while it has done well over the last decade, going up 200%, remember, the top 20 stocks went up 2,300%.
And Charles, that is a huge difference. Now, here's a great question. Person says, I'm a super conservative investor. I don't even own mutual funds, and the idea of losing money terrifies me. Should I sign up?
All right, this is important. Only do what you're comfortable doing. I personally want to encourage people to be bold, but if an investment keeps you up awake at night and you're talking or spending too much talking about the risk and worrying, don't do it. Just keep in mind, you can start small and build confidence.
And that makes a whole lot of sense. You know, I'm sure there are a lot of people curious about this next question that comes from Sam, who lives in Maine. Here's what he says. This sounds incredible, but how much does access to Alpha Investor cost? You seem like a generous person, but I'm sure, Charles, you want to make some money too.
And that's a really great question. So, as I mentioned earlier, I want to get as many people investing the right way as possible. You see, we're in the middle of a convergence of technologies, and the amount of wealth that'll be made is literally once in a lifetime. Right now, we have 100,000 subscribers, but my goal is 1 million. So we want to do whatever we can to meet our goal. However, as this person points out, I have expenses. We have a customer care team, a top-notch video team, an IT team, a research team. And to help us recommend the best investments, we have the best tools available, Bloomberg terminals, Capital IQ access, and a whole bunch of other things. These data feeds, well, they're not cheap. They cost a lot of money. So all I'm doing is asking people to cover my expenses, which is why a subscription to Alpha Investor comes out to less than $10 a month.
That's pretty incredible, Charles. Less than $10 a month. You know, I know people who used to pay tens of thousands of dollars every year for your financial advice. So $10 a month? Let's just be honest, that's a steal. I mean, I can't get an appetizer at a steakhouse for less than $10. So truly, this is an incredible offer.
It really is. But I do ask for one thing. I ask that they sign up for a full year upfront. Now, this isn't just for my benefit, it's for theirs. They need to get the full experience of the service when the market's going up, when it's going down, when it's flat, or just boring. They need to give time for the stock picks to play out.
So in a sense, just like you give your recommendations time to play out, you want these folks to give this service time to play out.
Exactly. But I understand why some folks might be hesitant to sign up for a full year. So here's my deal. Sign up today. And if you don't like what you see at any point over the next 12 months, any point, let my team know and we'll send you a full refund.
Let me get this straight. They sign up today. They can use Alpha Investor out the entire year. They get your very top stock picks. They can watch the weekly webinars. They get your trade alerts. And even after that, if they don't like what they see, you're going to issue them a full refund.
Governor, every last cent. Look, I don't want people paying for it if they aren't benefiting from it. Now, with that said, I offer this because I know for a fact that the vast majority of people, they never ask for a refund.
I can't imagine that they would. I mean, we've seen the results today. Current Alpha Investor subscribers, they won't stop boasting about the peace of mind that they have, the profits they're making. And you know what they love? They love how simple your service is to use. Okay, it's an incredible offer. It's risk-free for all of our viewers. With that said, I've got another good question here. This one comes from Craig in North Carolina. How much time will it take to use Alpha Investor? I run my own business. I've got 4 kids, so I'm pretty busy as it is.
Oh, he seems to have his hands full. It'll probably take around 15 minutes a month. That's it. That's all it takes, just 15 minutes. Now, if you want to spend more time with me, watch every weekly update, read every article and report I put out. You might spend a few hours with me every month. There's something to read every day if you want. But if you're busy, you can do it all under 15 minutes a month.
And that's pretty good. Now, here's another good question. This one's coming from Scarlett in Florida. I love all of this. Do you have an app I can download?
Yes, we do. Once you sign up, we will show you how to download it.
You know, I got to tell you, I downloaded it just a few weeks ago. And quite frankly, Scarlett, this is my preferred way of using Alpha Investor. And the reason is because I get push notifications when there's a trade, and it's so easy to navigate. All right, let's take another great question. This one is from Georgiana in New Jersey. I'm totally new to investing. I've never bought a stock in my life. Are you sure this is something I can do?
That's a great question. If you're totally new to investing, I suggest you start by reading the Beginner's Guide, which is easy to find on the Alpha Investor website. This will explain how to open an account, place a trade, and everything in between.
And again, they can start small and build confidence. And with that said, I noticed that a lot of your subscribers are newer investors.
And Governor, keep in mind, if someone signs up and then they realize it's not for them, no problem. Just give my team a call and you'll get a full refund. It's as simple as that.
All right, we've got time for one more question. This comes from Billy in New York. Charles sounds brilliant. Will he just manage my money for me?
Well, today, with how easy it is to invest on your own, a subscription to Alpha Investor, it really is a better choice. You get all my best stock picks, my weekly updates, my trade alerts. You just make the investments on your own.
You know, in a way, thanks to a convergence of technology, you and your team are innovating how people can invest. I mean, I get your top stock picks sent right to my phone. I think it's kind of amazing, Charles. I've been following you for a while now, and I love what I see. And it's not just from the performance, but quite frankly, I'm impressed with who you are as a person. I mean, you're already helping 100,000 people, and our goal is to reach 1 million people.
Governor, I'm really honored by your kind words. And you're right, the moment they sign up, within the next few minutes, they could be looking at the model portfolio. They'll have the chance to invest in all the companies we spoke about today, such as Arista, which is leading the way in cloud computing, an industry that's on the verge of soaring 500%. Disney, which is leading the way in streaming video, an industry on the verge of also soaring 500%. Lumentum, which is leading artificial intelligence, an industry on the verge of soaring 3,000%, all within the next decade. And of course, my number one stock, the company that's leading the way in 5G, an industry that's on the verge of soaring 3,800% during that same time. Buying this stock today could set a person up for incredible wealth. It could be like buying Amazon or Walmart all those years ago. So don't wait. The earlier they get started, the better.
And that is a great, great thing to do. Now, that order button should be underneath this video at any moment. And all you've got to do is just click it, and it'll take you right to the order page. And with that said, Charles, I want to say thanks for sharing your insight today. Because thanks to you, 100,000 Americans are already marching toward their financial goals.
Well, Governor, thank you. And it's with your help, I know we'll reach 1 million people. I know many who are watching right now, they're struggling. Maybe they're struggling with anxiety about the volatility in the stock market. Perhaps they're even losing sleep at night. Or perhaps they've been tempted to try some get-rich scheme. I can help them. I can help them invest in great companies that make amazing products and employ hard-working Americans. And right now, as we speak, is a great time to get started. We're seeing a convergence of innovation creating new technologies. 5G, AI, the Internet of Things, autonomous vehicles, precision medicine, robotics, and so much more. Our world is transforming in front of our eyes. This is a rare opportunity in history to invest in some truly great companies that will change the world for the better.
That really is exciting. And with that said, once again, Charles, thank you for being here.
Governor, it's been an honor and a privilege.
And I want to say thank you for joining us for this event. For more details on how to sign up for Charles' Alpha Investor Service, click the button beneath this video. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike Huckabee. Good day and God bless.